This is called a general balancing session. General balancing session means I'm actually not trying to zero in on any line. I'm not trying to zero in on any chakra. I'm not trying to zero in on any meridian. I'm not trying to zero in on any particular skeletal structure. I'm trying to hit all of them a little bit to create an emphasis, maybe a gestalt of emphasis that affects the whole person, mind, spirit, and body. Spirit, mind, and body. Body, mind, and spirit. However you want to, wherever you want to start on that triangle, I don't care. Okay? And that's why we call it general. General means, by definition, in our world, I don't know what it means in other places, but in our world, the word general means non-specific. Non-specific. All-encompassing. At this level of practice, my assessments are not so good. Being able to look at you and being able to tell what's wrong with you, is not so good. Okay? So, but I do know this, no matter what's wrong with you, you need energy balancing. I do know this, no matter what's wrong with you, question mark, fill in the blanks, you do need a stronger immune system. I don't care what's wrong with you. In fact, you can't name a thing that might be considered an illness that doesn't have a correlation with the immune system. And I'm talking mind, spirit, and body. And you say, wait a minute, what's the spiritual correlation with immune system? It's easy. It's so easy. It's right there, right in front of you. Okay? The immune system is the Holy Spirit functioning in our body. That's it. That is actually, so, you know, you think, what are the jobs or tasks or properties of the manifestation of what is called in Christendom Holy Spirit, that part of the Holy Trinity. So you got God, man, who's Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. So the Spirit is the consciousness, breath, and essence of God. Consciousness, breath, and essence of God. It's the intelligence that relates to the consciousness, breath, and essence of God. Okay? So, God is above us, if you will. Man is us, if you will. And the intermedia between our most fundamental mechanical material self is the Spirit. But how does the Spirit, on a daily rule, or daily manifestation, all right? So, in essence, all right, let me say it another way. What makes us alive and not dead is, Holy Spirit. Now I'm saying classically, spiritually, liturgically, that clay was imbued with spirit by God to create Adam. Dirt was imbued with spirit, which is the Holy Spirit, okay, on direction of God, if you will, authority of God, direction of God. And then when the Holy Spirit came into the dirt, the clay, life and consciousness manifest. And the materialization of that process, dirt imbued with spirit, is us. Ta-da! That's us. Guess what? That never ended. That is still what imbues us with life. In fact, that's what life is. That's what imbues us with life. And a deficiency of spirit looks like a deficiency of life. You dig me? You follow me? You get where I'm going with this? One of the ways that as a spiritual person, like a minister, that I can look at someone and I can say, that in my opinion, you need help, is because I look at you and you don't look as alive as you could be. In other words, I look for signs of life. And signs of life are not just how you feel. Feeling is an indicator of an internal perception of vitality. No, that's not what I'm talking about. How you feel. I'm talking about literally how you look, how you function, what you do, what you don't do, what you are attracted to, what you are naturally avoiding. These are signs of life. As you perambulate through the world, beating and banging on your environment and the people around you, that if you really think about it for a second, you know that you have looked at a person and said in your head, maybe you're too polite to say it out loud, but you look at a person and you say, they're not a long timer. They're not going to be here much longer. And you don't even know what's wrong with them. You don't know their pathology. You don't know their diagnosis. You don't know their medical history. You just look at them and you go, I think they're looking like they're deficient in life, and they're deficient in spirit. Because spirit is what innervates everything. It's the elan vital. It is, in fact, that thing that makes life happen. There's no life without it.
This is reminding me of the connection between immunity and spirit. It's reminding me of in the video, it talked about T cells creating electricity. Like, what?
But no, they don't create electricity. Okay?
They?
In other words, electricity is everywhere and in everything. Okay? What is electricity? Electricity is the manifestation of positive and negative electrons. And technically, in engineering terms, electricity is when those ions get jiggy and go from here to there. Electricity is when the ions move, okay, from here to there. But the basis of what is electricity is it is the presence of a positive and a negative electron in proximity. That is electricity. Now, when they come in proximity, they create a third force, the positive, negative, anode, cathode, positive, negative electrical ions. They create a third force when they interact, which is called magnetism. And the magnet, like if this is the positive and this is the negative electron, when they come together, the magnetic field that comes into existence is at right angles to them. So it is spinning this way while they are here or spinning this way. Now, if I take that little package of those three forces, a positive and a negative and a magnetic field, and I move it, we call that an electric current. We call that an electric current. Electric current is a distinctive movement of positive and negative ions in a particular direction. That's called a current. And an electric wire is made with a conductive surface and a non-conductive surface to guide the travel of the electrons in a particular direction from A to Z. So I want to coach those electrons to come from over here to way over here, because I want them to do something over here. Now they do that something that I want over here all along the way. That's why I can actually measure that the electric cord that powers the light over there, that there's a percentage of the electricity that doesn't make it. It comes out of the wall, it gets into the cord, and then it just goes straight out the cord, because the shielding on the cord's not perfect. In fact, it's very hard to make a perfect shield. We have to make a Faraday cage, and that's not a Faraday cage. Your body is exactly the same way. So the cells don't make electricity. Electricity was there before the cells were. Okay? But they utilize that, and then they capture it and distribute it and circulate it in various ways. And we call that capacitance, reactance, and resistance, which is measurements of how the cells handle their electricity. Okay? Now let's go back to the 5 attitudes. So I already told you one reason there are 5 attitudes classically, and they represent all the ways that we are situated between heaven and earth. Okay? If our body is a conduit and an antenna of sacred, both profane and sacred energies, in Ayurveda that's referred to as manavaha and pranavaha, which means gross physical and fine energetic. If that's what our body is a transformational medium between heaven and earth, okay, this has been determined to be the 5 ways that we face heaven and earth, that we orient ourselves to heaven and earth. And the reason there's 5 is because we have 5 fingers. Because we have 5 fingers on our hand. Really ancient teachings say, as above, so below, that we are made in the image of God. Okay? And so, apparently God has 5 fingers. But what are those 5 fingers? Well, in Ayurveda, for example, the 5 fingers of God are called the 5 elements. In other words, all creation, everything there is in the manifest world is composed of 5 things. Okay? Now, there are other forces that come together to make these 5 things make all that there is. The most fundamental one of them, okay, is consciousness. So what happens when consciousness is imbued in the materiality of constructs of the 5 elements? I.e., in biblical terms, what happens when there's firmament and then God picks up a handful of that firmament and tells the Holy Spirit to imbue it with life and consciousness, and then that firmament becomes Adam, becomes Adam, becomes man, becomes woman. Okay? Well, that process is still going on. It's really spirit that innervates us, and the living representative of spirit in tangible terms. See, a lot of people say, I don't believe God because I'm from Missouri, I can only believe what I can see. Right? I only believe what I can see. I only believe what I can touch. I only believe what I can taste. I only believe that which pierces me and doth cause me to go, ouch. I only believe these material things based on the, 5 senses. Again, there's a correlation between 5 elements and 5 senses, 5 attitudes. Okay? I only believe that. I don't believe in anything else. Then I'm going to tell you that the immune system, the integumentary system of your skin, is in fact a force of nature and represents a consciousness from spirit, from God. Because if you think about it for a second, just be logical, be rational just for a second. How many bacteria are there in the world? Different kinds. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. They throw out phrases like, well, if you could tell me how many grains of sand there are on all the beaches of the world, that's how many different kinds of bacteria there are. Okay, how many different kinds of virus are in the world? Nobody knows. And they use phrases like, all that there is. Yeah, I can tell you exactly how many viruses are in nature. All that there is. And if you can tell me precisely how many grains of sand there are in all the beaches of the world, I'm going to tell you that's probably about the same number as how many different kinds of viruses are in the world. We're concerned with like 1 virus. Here's another one. If you can tell me how many stars there are in the sky, I will tell you that that's about how many species of bacteria there are in the world. If you could tell me how many stars are in the sky, I will tell you that's about how many different kinds or variety of viruses there are in the world. In other words, in every direction that we care to look, we get to infinity in about 2 steps. In every direction. And yet, here we are functioning. What keeps us from being food for all the bacteria? What keeps us from being food for all of the viruses? The immune system. And the physical body, called the integumentary system, partnered with the brains, which are the endocrine system. So it's actually, it has 3 parts, but it goes endocrine, integumentary, skeletal, because you have to make cells in order to differentiate them, stem cells in order to differentiate them into what both fights the infection and what protects against the infection and what needs to be rebuilt after the infection. Those all come from the skeleton. So we have 3 different kinds of intelligence, 3 different hierarchies of intelligence, triad modeled under God, man, and Holy Spirit, or God, Jesus, and Holy Spirit. Okay? But in this equation, in this triangle, okay, I am man. Right? So in the Holy Trinity, because Jesus tried to convince people, had a hard time. Some people believed him, some people didn't. But he tried to convince people, no, you got to get it. I'm a man. Everything I'm doing would not be so special if I was not just a man like you're a man. It wouldn't be special. In fact, it wouldn't be a sacrifice. It wouldn't be. If I'm special, I'm the only one, I'm unique in all of creation, in that way, then who cares whether I bleed? What's the difference? I'm a God, transfigured. Who cares? I can come and go as I want. Look what I can do. It's not special. But Jesus said over and over and over again that he was a man. So, but what he means though is a human. A human. Human is man endowed with sacred breath, man endowed with Holy Spirit, man endowed with the essence of God's intelligence.
Consciousness.
You could say consciousness. But not just any kind of consciousness. The kind of consciousness that can exist in any environment and can adapt to any environment, internal or external. So that's super intelligence. So anybody who studies, like you can look it up, do your own research on what is the immune system, how does it work, and then automatically, very, very quickly, you run into a big problem, a big philosophical challenge. And the challenge is, over your lifetime, your immune system learns how to deal with and produce immune factors to adjust to defend you from literally an infinite number of external threats. Literally. And keep track. Not only does it adjust your being to be exposed to 1 million different kinds of bacteria and tens of millions of different kinds of viruses, not to mention with elemental threats of too much sun, too much wind, too much water, getting buried alive, too much earth, buried alive. Not only does it help you adjust to that, it's too much emotional stress, too much mental stress, but it keeps track and in real time is ready to go for the next issue. Infinite intelligence. Well, how can it be infinite if it's not godlike? And how can it be infinite within me if it's not personal to me? I take this all very personally. I take it personally that my immune system is working or not, is deficient or not, is actually fine, firing on all cylinders or not. It's personal to me. It may not be personal to you, but it's personal to me. And so I know there is part of me which I can touch, which literally has the potentiality for infinite adaptation, unlimited adaptation. And then technologies that come out of that understanding we call medicine. technologies that come out of that. See, that's why medicine, which is not based on these kinds of understandings, wolf in sheep's clothing. It's not medicine, so it doesn't do medical things, which are about curing and healing, and about function, and about longevity, and about happiness and satisfaction and balanced mind. It doesn't create those things. And in fact, it does just the opposite. It causes harm to mind, body, and spirit. And medicine separates people from the knowledge of God. That's its number one crime. The number one crime of modern medicine, commercial medicine, corporate medicine, government medicine, the number one crime is because if you go into that system wholeheartedly, you will lose your conscious connection to Spirit and God. Because it's designed to do that. And it's designed to glamour you, which means to psychically attract your attention in such a way that you will now worship the medicine and the medical providers, what I call the white coats sometimes. You will worship the white coats. That's why people have made altars to Fauci.
Altars to Fauci?
Yeah. Altars, yeah, go on YouTube, go altars, Fauci altars.
That's so creepy.
Or YouTube search Saint Fauci.
Saint?
No, I'm serious.
Oh my God.
Saint. Look up Saint Fauci. Look up Fauci altars. Look up Worship Fauci. Look up, do it. I do it. I'm like, wow. It's perfect illustration of my point that I've been trying to communicate for so long. Perfect illustration. Okay, so back to the immune system. Okay, one, on the mat. Your body doesn't know that flow and practice is not real. Your body doesn't know that. That's jibber jabber in your head.
That's why we all kind of feel better. When we
Yeah, but that's, or feel worse, or get sore, or you have a Herxheimer effect, and you're actually reacting to the not real treatment.
Always find joy in the smallest of things. That is what we found in you. Oh, 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 you are joy. Never give up when the going gets rough. Hope is everything you need. Oh, 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 you are hope. Oh, 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 you are hope. And don't forget you're not alone. The Holy Spirit wants to guide you on. The journey, child, will never end. Once your heart's been marked by a love for Him.